Hey guys, this is Monica at Academic Phoenix Plus, and this time I'm going to show you how to create a simple normal map using Maya. In a previous exercise, we actually created a high poly tire. As you can see, it's got a lot of tread information. So we're actually going to be using this as information to get a normal map. So right now I'm going to go ahead and delete these three, which I really don't need, and I've actually already created a low poly object. The low poly is supposed to be similar size and shape of the object. So this is the high poly and this is going to be the low poly. I even called it that, low poly, high poly. The trick to this though is the UV maps. I haven't UV mapped this object. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my Windows UV texture editor, and hopefully you guys already know how to UV map. So I'm just going to move things around. I know that treads is going to be very important in this model. So I'm going to go to my UVs. Select a corner, control right click to shell, then I'm going to scale it evenly if it let me. Come on. There we go. As big as I can get it. And then move it to the side so I can have space for these guys. I'm going to select these two. Control right click to shell, move them to the side, and scale. There we go. Okay, so that at least will give me as much information on the treads as possible. Maybe scale it up a little. There we go. All right, so the next is to make sure that the two objects are on top of one another. So they're actually, you can see that their size and scale is about the same. I'm going to go under Rendering, Lighting and Shading, Transfer Maps. And I'm going to get this, what looks like a very complicated window. First part is actually to go get a target mesh. The target mesh is basically, where is this information going to? It is going to go to our low poly. So I'm going to select the low poly and then click on Add Selected. The second part is source meshes. Where is it going to go? It's actually going to go to the high poly. So I'm going to select that and click Add Selected. If you need to remove anything, you can always select it and say Remove Selected. And then you can add selected again. Okay, next is actually using our output UV sets, which is map 1, and also our display, which is mesh. I actually want to do both. I want to have an envelope, and the envelope is going to show me where it's basically going to wrap around the model. So if it's too low, you won't be able to see anything. The mesh has to be inside the envelope. So as you can see, this would be it won't do a very good calculation. So you just have to increase it. I'm going to go ahead and do a 3. That seems like a reasonable value. And everything seems to be wrapped around the object. Okay, I am going to create a normal map. So I'm going to click on Normal. I'm going to place it somewhere. So I'm going to place it in my source images or somewhere where I can find it easily. Okay, this is going to be my tire tread underscore NRLM for normal. Save. I'm going to open up my Maya Common Outputs, and I want to change my map to, I said 1024. You guys can do 2048. It's completely up to you. Sample quality, the default is low. I probably would suggest medium to high. Of course, the higher the quality, the longer it's going to take to make this normal map. I'm going to go to my mental rate common output. Same thing, maybe increase your map size to 2048. The number of samples, I'm going to go to 2 or 3, and it looks like it's ready to go. So that's it. Let's go ahead and click Bake and Close. And you can't see it, but at the bottom left, you should be able to see something called Sampling Surfaces. And you can always press Escape if you want to stop the process from happening. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video because this might take a few minutes to make this normal map, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so it is finally done. It took a few minutes there, and let's take a look at the results. So it doesn't look like anything happened, but let's go ahead and go to high quality and also press the number 6 on your keyboard so you can see the textures. And there you go. You can see the treads. Now, what's cool about this is that it looks like it's almost the same resolution as the high treads, but notice that it's actually extremely low polygons, but thanks to the normal map, it actually looks like it's a high poly object. So the real magic happens is when we create a light. So let's go ahead and go to Create Light, and we're going to create a point light. Okay, so I created a point light, and you can see how the shadows actually affect the object. Right, so this is our high poly. And I can press 3 if I wanted to kind of make it look a little smoother. And when I move the light, you can see how the light affects the model. So when I press 6, you're not really going to see any textures. What you need to go to is actually go to high quality. And now you can see that the normal map is working. If you click on the other one, which is the viewport 2, so you actually go to the viewport 2, you can actually see the effect that it almost looks like our object is actually a high poly object. So I'm going to go back to 1, select my little point light, and you can see that the effect is almost exactly the same, but the only difference is that this is extremely low poly and this is extremely high poly. And that's the cool thing about normal maps, is that it makes it look like a low poly object is in fact high poly. And that's the cool part about this, is that it actually looks like it's being affected by the light, but it's just low poly. There's nothing there. It's just texture information to give us the look that it's actually being affected by shadow and by light. And that's basically how you create normal maps using Maya. And this is what a normal map looks like. A normal map actually uses color, RGB, to give you an XYZ coordinate. So what you see here is actually information on that this particular color represents a coordinate system in the X, Y, and Z. You actually have to use a computer like ZBrush and Maya to create normal maps, because it's almost impossible to create these things by hand. So it's pretty wild looking, but it has great information in it so that it can actually look like it's a 3D object. Okay guys, hopefully you got something out of this. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Post up your work, I would love to see it, and I will see you next time.